Scriptures that are meant to scare you but shouldn't have, part 5. Genesis 3 goes by lots of names. The fall, the curse, the starting place of original sin, the loss of innocence. It's a story you may know about a talking snake, a forbidden fruit, and a woman who eats that fruit and ruins it for everybody. God finds out, takes the legs off the snake, curses the ground, and, you may have heard this as well, curses the woman. Now, how does God supposedly curse the woman? Mainly two things. First, by making childbearing painful, and secondly, by decreeing that the man will rule over the woman. And this verse has been used for centuries in Christianity to prove that men are meant to lead or have headship over women. It's proof, supposedly, that patriarchy is the God-given way things are meant to be. However, there are a few issues with that interpretation. First of all, Genesis 1 and 2 plainly and clearly do not assign any hierarchy by gender. Genesis chapter 1, verses 27 and 28 says that all of humanity, along the entire spectrum of gender, male to female, and anyone beyond or in between, is granted co-regency by God. It says that God blessed them, all of humanity, and said to them, master and take charge of the earth, no gender roles assigned. Genesis chapter 2 states that the Isha, the woman, is made up of the exact same stuff as the Ish, the man. She is created from the side of the man, which is a metaphor for, get this, alongsideness. It would take an exegetical fool to try to make that mean some sort of hierarchical relationship between the male and female. The author is making it as obvious as possible they are equals. The woman is called the man's azar kenegdo. It translates as a helper, which is similar to the one who is being helped. And before you say, aha, helper, she's subservient to the man, it might be helpful to know that the Hebrew word azer, helper, is used most frequently in the Hebrew Bible about God. So, Genesis chapter 3, verse 16, and he shall rule over you, is not describing God's intent for gender relationships. It's an aberration. It's the way things are not supposed to be. And Christians of all people should be at the forefront of feminist causes, pushing back against any patriarchal or sexist energy that keeps men in charge and women not. According to 2 Corinthians 5, Christians are meant to be new creation folks. The old creation is going away. We certainly shouldn't be trying to prop it up. But this is all assuming that Genesis 3:16 is meant to be read as a curse, which I'm actually not positive it should be. Genesis 3 makes no mention of sin, fall, innocence, or even the word curse. The theological idea of a fall came much later than the composition of Genesis 3. Don't get me wrong, there are clear consequences of Eve and Adam's forbidden fruit extravaganza. The garden must be left, the advent of genitalia shame has arrived, the snake loses its legs. If you look at the language, God does not curse the humans themselves. The earth outside the garden will make it difficult for agriculture to be successful, and there's going to be an increase in both work and a Hebrew word that can variously mean either pain or sorrow. So what God tells Eve is this: your work and your conceptions will greatly increase. Childbearing will be painful or sorrowful. And I imagine this because of the continual existential threat of survival in the world now after they leave the garden. But it's that last phrase of verse 16 that I and other Hebrew scholars think has been mistranslated for so long, ironically enough, because of sexism and patriarchy. It's usually translated that the man will rule over you. And that word over is translating the Hebrew preposition ba. And if you go look up the preposition ba or bet in a Hebrew lexicon, do you know what it says? With. Which dramatically changes the meaning of the phrase. He will rule with you. All that to say, Genesis 3:16, if you read it as a curse, it's a description of the harmful effects of patriarchy and sexism that Christians need to be fighting against as new creation people. Or, if it's not a curse, it's a reaffirmation of what Genesis 1 and 2 already said. We humans, all of us, we are equal. We lead, endure pain, and survive together.